well, wasn't technically a signing because they claimed him off of waivers. The Mariners claimed a catcher, largely a minor league catcher, off of waivers. His name's Nick Raposo. Um, he had been with the Blue Jays organization after being DFA'd by I believe it was the Cardinals organization. Yeah. Claimed off waivers Nick Raposo, playing the 40 man at 38 out of 40 players. So you've got room for two players. Ooh. He's 26. I mean, he was DFA'd by December, no, by Toronto on December 13th. He's 5'9", so we've got mini catcher. Um, he played in 78 AAA games last season with the Cardinals and Blue Jays organizations, hitting just 206 with 26 runs, 10 doubles, 8 homers, 33 RBIs, and a 620 OPS. Um, yeah, not super great. I mean, he got called up to the major league roster um, for the Cardinals on the 22nd of June, but he didn't appear in a game. So no debut moment, which is kind of sad. He got optioned back on the 24th of June. He was then a little over a month later DFA'd to play the Cardinals, which is kind of a weird stretch, right? You get called up to be with a big league club. Um, you don't play, you get sent back down, and a month later, you're out of the organization, which is fascinating. Um, I don't know. There's not too much to say here. He's a Providence, Rhode Island native. He's really signed by the Cardinals as a UFA back in 2020 after a 4-year collegiate career at Wheaton University. Um, yeah, he's appeared in 219 minor league games across 4 minor league seasons, batting just 241 with 29 doubles, 3 triples, 20 homers, 19 ribbies, and a 709 OPS. I mean, I guess this just leads into a conversation more about the catching depth in the organization.
Yeah.
Because this has been something that, if we needed to do it, like I mentioned at the end of the last show, if Britt and I needed to just talk about different storylines within the organization, we could do so. And I'm going to look at the 40-man roster here. Um, oh yeah, he's your second listed catcher on the 40 man, and then they just put Mitch Garver as DH, but you know how that goes. Um, yeah, I don't, the Mariners have never, outside of like what, the 1 or 2 years that Tom Murphy was around, and even then he still obviously would get hurt. Um, which is not necessarily his fault, obviously. Um, they haven't had the complement to Cal Raleigh. I'm not saying they need to have, another guy who's going to hit 20, 30 bombs a year, but like someone who's serviceable. I don't say that on purpose, Scott. I'm sorry. That you can just trust in the lineup, right? And not like Britt and I, where it's like, okay, Mitch Garver is back in the lineup. Is he going to fall apart like a bunch of Lincoln logs?
Yep.
Um, I don't know. Like it just doesn't seem like the organization is going to try get us substantial backup. It sounds like we're just going to bet on Mitch Garver being able to play more catcher this upcoming season. Um, which I understand it wouldn't be necessarily on the top of the prioritization list, but I'm still worried about it, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
like unless you've got words on Nick, what do you think about just the catcher position? Because again, I think we talked about it last week with the prospects. I don't imagine Harry is going to be ready until maybe the end of this year, but likely
Yeah.
maybe 26, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the end of this year would probably be pushing it with Harry. I just have such an issue with the manner in which this organization is running Cal Raleigh into the ground. I know he wouldn't have it any other way. I completely understand that. You have to protect your player from
yeah,
themselves sometimes, and
yeah,
catchers get hurt. Cal gets so incredibly beat up. We don't hear about it because he doesn't talk about it. I know you can speak to how beat up he really does get back there. Teammates have alluded to this on several occasions, how hurt he really is. And he's only getting older. And as catchers get older, they just fall apart quicker. And he is such an important part of this organization and this team, defensively, offensively, all of it, that at some point they need to take some sort of step to get him 2 days off in a row. Get him off his feet. Get him a good handful of DH days. I look at the Orioles and the way that they
Mm.
run Adley Rutschman out there, who's younger, and they really, really have a plan for him and trying to keep him fresh and trying really looking at him as a core part of their organization and getting longevity out of him by finding ways to get him off his feet. Get Hadley had a ton of DH days last year. So
Mm.
I again I know Cal wants to be the one behind the plate all the time. He would catch every single game if he could. Um, between the thumb and the neck and
Mhm.
the various other injuries he sustains from foul balls, I have never seen a catcher take foul tips like Cal takes. It is wild. Uh they gotta have a better plan for protecting him.
Or
And
even a plan, I'd argue. I
a
mean,
a plan, a single
weird.
plan. It is not a Sebi Zavala. It is
Oh,
not a
Jesus.
Nick Raposo. I hope Mitch Garver can stay healthy, be healthy, and be an offensive contributor. If that's what they're counting on, great. I have significant doubts that that's going to be a serviceable way for them to move forward. So if it doesn't happen this year, at some point they've got to get a better backup catcher situation together next year at the latest. Otherwise, they are going to run Cal into the ground. And by the time he hits 30 years old, we're going to be taping him together with duct tape.
They're just gonna stitch them together with like the remaining no fly zone t-shirts. Um, yeah, I mean, in the best case scenario, maybe for the Mariners, like I say for the Mariners because he's already under contract. Mitch Garver stays healthy. He has a bounce back season at the plate, and you're able to play him. I don't know what's a good amount of games for him because I'm just thinking about Cal's incredible workload. 40, 50 games. I don't.
Getting
I don't.
him off his feet behind the plate 2 days a week at some point towards the end of this season would be great. So that if this team, knock on wood, does have a playoff run in them, he could be fresh going into the playoffs and not have his thumb holding on by a thread like it was in 2022.
Oh, yucky, gross, yucky, gross, yuck, yuck, yuck. Sorry, I'm thinking about how bloody it was. Yeah, and I can, as you alluded, Brett. I almost told you, Brett. Nope. Um, like whether it was the thumb, I thought watching that game he was out. Um, like they had to take him out, and then I just kind of sighed when I saw him like wiping the blood off. I was like, yep, that's Cal.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, whether it's that, like when his thumb was messed up in the 22 season when they went to the playoffs, like he would have fully he wanted to go into the offseason with folks not knowing about that. He did not want people to know about his thumb.
No.
He was embarrassed when he if people found out. Like that's Cal Raleigh,
Mm-hmm.
which, is remarkable to think about. Like I know that for the large amount of, you know, um for the large part like this fan base adores this man, which they should. But I always like every once in a while stumble upon people who don't, and I'm just like, you're an idiot. I know. Well, no, other people say worse things. I know I'm a professional, and be calling people an idiot's not the greatest thing, but you're stupid. I mean, the amount of value that man has. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez is your superstar, and as he should be, all that sort of thing. But Cal Raleigh is arguably the more valuable player to this organization.
Easily.
You know,
Easily. Yeah.
yeah, it's it, and I think Divish will attest to it too. And this just obviously helps the case, but he's Divish throughout the year will always kind of look, whether we're waiting for scrums or, whatever, or just walking by him, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen a catcher get beat up this much. Um,
Yeah.
and obviously Divish has seen a lot of baseball, so,
Yeah.
and I'm
And
not
it
calling
takes
him
a
on bull.
toll. It really does. I
Yeah,
don't think the regular fan understands how
no,
much they just look like foul tips, right? To the thigh or worse places. how quickly those
No,
all add up.
hurt.
And I I just if this trend continues, you're going to be looking at possibly losing Cal for a week at a time.
Yeah.
God forbid something worse happens because he is getting so beat up out there. So I just would really love to see this organization take steps to protect him, keep him fresh, get some longevity out of him. And Sebi Zavalas and Nick Raposos aren't going to do it. No offense to those players.
Well, and I looked at the available catchers, and I'm only sorting by MLB because I'm not looking at minor league catchers because we just got one of those.
Mhm.
They're all relatively old. But I mean, Yasmani Grandal,
That would be
uh,
great.
Yasmani, I was gonna say if you're basing things off his previous AAV, I don't think you can get James McCann, but I don't think he's gonna make $10 million a year anymore.
I don't think so.
I would not necessarily bring Kurt Casale back. Elias Diaz is available,
Yeah, that's another one I
and
like.
he previously made $1 million a year. If you can't pay backup catcher to help your, franchise cornerstone catcher you can't pay him $1 million. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's remarkable. Like I kind of wish I get to the ballpark early. I get there as soon as they let media get there. I wish I could know when Cal got there to see how much he probably beats me there. Um, yeah, I don't know. We could talk all day about Cal Raleigh. I know you want to, but we have a show to run. And I mean, even on the prospect level, like at least in their top 30, um, Harold, who they're projecting by 25, and that feels
Mhm.
early. Um, and the other guy, I think he was drafted last year, is Josh Karen, at least catcher wise. He's not obviously projected till 27. He was with Modesto. Um, so yeah, I don't imagine it'll be coming that route until Harry, if he makes it, because Harry's been so heavily involved in trade talks, right?
He
Um,
has been. And also, they've been dabbling with him in the outfield, which I find interesting. So perhaps they see him in a different light. I don't know.
oh yeah, I don't know. I still remember that like getting the notification from like the MLB app that he was a center fielder slash catcher. I was like, what are you talking about? Um, yeah, and then we can
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about those Zaps?
Oh, I'm excited.
I know. Where are you going to watch all those away games, though?
Away games. Huh. I was thinking of coming here since, after all, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports.
I love that idea. Hope to see y'all here.